Today's podcast is brought to you by a company who we have been using for years and takes up significant shelf space inside of our own kitchen. Biosteel Sports Nutrition.
It was a product created out of necessity 8 years ago and is trusted by athletes like Connor McDavid, Tyler Seguin, Brooke Henderson, Rosie MacLennan, and Andrew Wiggins.
They're really a leader in sports drinks for everyone from professional athletes to everyday champions.
Understand something, guys. Nothing worth ever having in this world comes easy.
Do what these champions doing if you're going to be a champion.
You control your outcome.
Who am I?
I'm a champion.
What up, champions, and welcome back to a brand new Biosteel Breakdown. As always, I'm your host, my co-host,
Sylvie.
And we're back and we're breaking it down. If it's your first time joining us, we do one of these every Friday. Just a quick 10-minute segment because you're busy. You got stuff to do. You don't have time. You need all the information. You need it as fast as possible. So enter the breakdown. This week, Sil, we're talking about something that I know very little about and you know a lot about, which seems to be the theme on a lot of these. Prebiotics.
Prebiotics?
And
what did you call them? Postbiotics?
And postbiotics.
Prebiotics and probiotics.
Excellent. Okay, so I think probiotics people probably know.
Yes.
But prebiotics is something that I did not know until recently.
Yes.
So
well, you can flex your prebiotic knowledge when we get to it.
Okay. So where do you want to start?
Probiotics.
Probiotics. Okay.
So probiotics, we've done a segment on gut health in general. So we've definitely mentioned probiotics several times on this podcast. But let's just break down what they are and why you might need to include them. So probiotics are the live bacteria that can be found in our gut, and there's hundreds of different species, so there's a ton of different probiotics, and they can be very fragile to things like heat and light and acid and time, so they can go bad over time because they're ferments. So they're only effective if they're alive, and that's really important because if they're dead probiotics, then our gut can't use them for the healthy benefits that we get from ingesting these probiotics.
And you, when you say alive, as in they can die when they're in capsule form? Is that? Yeah.
Yes, they can die. So say if you leave your probiotics out and they're not shelf stable probiotics, the actual bacterium in them will die.
Okay.
And so that's very important. It's like how you care for them. And then they have a shelf life as well.
Okay.
So even just keeping them in your fridge for 2 years and being like, oh yeah, these should still be good.
I have probiotics.
Chances are they're not good.
Okay.
So there's lots of benefits to taking probiotics. Obviously the biggest one being digestive health. So, there's again a ton of benefits, but the digestive ones are the biggest one, and it can affect brain health, immunity. So there's a big gut-brain connection. 70% of our immune system is housed in our gut. So obviously those are big connections. If we have healthy gut bacteria, then it can lead to all these other benefits in our health. And so the most common ones that you'll see in supplement form and that show up in foods are the lactobacilli or the bifidobacterium. So those are the two most common
Expressionist
ones.
painters.
Super fancy words.
Bacilli.
Yes. So those are the most common ones that you'll see in supplement form, and then also shows up in food when you ferment it. So the sources of food that you can get it from, which I always recommend to start with food. If you do not have any of these probiotics in your diet, I do recommend to start with some of them before you go right to supplementation, if that's what you're looking to do. So sauerkraut, kimchi, miso, fermented vegetables, kefir, which is fermented milk, yogurt, kombucha is also one of them. So anything that's fermented over an extended period of time. We've made our own yogurt and sauerkraut, and it's best to do it on your own if you can. So what happens is the longer that you ferment them, the more bacteria builds up. And this is, again, very beneficial for our gut. And
one quick question. Are there more probiotics in food than in supplements? Is that one of the One of the reasons that you
so
would
I
wanna
mean, it
lean-
depends. There can be some really high potency supplementation out there, but a lot of the time, there's a ton of, especially if you're eating a variety of different probiotic foods, there can be more actually in that. And like I said, there are some serious gut health high potency supplements out there that contain more than a specific amount of food. But in general, it's great to just have a couple tablespoons of sauerkraut. And you can also supplement on top of that, but always start with food and supplementation. So everyone is different when it comes to what our gut bacteria is made up of. And there's still so much research that is being done on this. But some people will start with supplementing with a specific probiotic and then they have issues with it, so that it can cause more digestive upsets, so bloating, gas, all those things. So our guts are all very unique, so it's important that we focus on starting slow, so not going to a really high amount and high potency, starting small and then building it up over time. And like I said, starting with food a little bit at a time, and then you build up your tolerance. It's like anything where you want to build up over time. So that's probiotics. So we've heard a lot about that, but prebiotics are essentially the food that we need for our probiotics. So if you think about a garden analogy, and this is used all the time in the nutrition world, and I apologize if you've heard it before, but if we have a garden, think of our probiotics as the plants, and think of our prebiotics as the fertilizer and the water that we need to populate and feed these plants to make them grow and flourish. Just needed to use the word flourish there. So prebiotics, they're non-digestible part of our food. So they're a type of fiber, and it goes through the small intestine without being digested, and then it is fermented in the large intestine. So the food and the fermentation process of these feeds are beneficial bacteria. So the beneficial bacteria is our probiotics. And then, so benefits of this obviously help to increase the probiotic, again, flourishing of the plants. It increases the probiotic content, helping to reduce risk of certain diseases. And then a lot of research has shown that eating prebiotics or doing a prebiotic supplement can help with weight management, digestive health, obviously immunity because of the gut immunity connection, as well as bone and skin health, even brain health, again, because of that gut-brain connection, which we've talked about before. So sources of prebiotics are unripe. What are they? Unripe?
Bananas.
Yeah, this is your favorite prebiotic fact.
Yeah.
Green bananas.
I busted out all the time.
Banana flour, yeah.
Banana
Onions.
flour.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a thing. Onions, garlic, asparagus, Jerusalem artichokes. I love that word. And the skin of apples, chicory root is a really common one, and then certain beans as well. So very high fiber rich foods. And again, starting with food as much as possible. And even if you just have a little bit of these things in your diet, it can help, again, to boost that prebiotic content. And then you can do supplement as well. But again, I would go small and then build up as you go. So just a little bit of, prebiotic supplement in your smoothie can make a big difference if you are missing out on some of these other food sources.
Awesome. Now you know what's up with pre and postbiotics.
Or pre and probiotics.
You
were really close though.
6 of one, half dozen of the other. Guys, we hope you enjoyed today's breakdown. If you have any other questions, please shoot them to us. You can get at us on social media, at the website. I don't know. Anywhere our stuff is up, we hang out. So let us know what you want to hear, and we'll do our very best to break down the topic in next week's episode. That's a wrap, guys. See you next Friday.